This is the Web Apps Group. We meet the third Tuesday of every month from 7 to 8:30 Eastern Time. My name is Andy Tabus, and I kind of run the group. But I put my email address, if you can see on here, Andy at WorkSmartDB, like database.com, if anybody wants to get a hold of me. And one of the things I wanted to point out, and I've mentioned it before, but there is a site called UserVoice. And if you go to access.uservoice.com, and actually I'll pop up a browser and do it over here. And basically it's kind of a neat site in that basically the Microsoft product team are looking for enhancement suggestions for both Access Desktop and Access Web Apps. It seems like for about 2 years, Microsoft was telling us that Access Desktop was dead and all the resources were going into Access Web Apps. And there was quite a bit of pushback on that. And back in, toward the end of last year, we were told that no, desktop is not dead. They're going to continue to be building it and growing on it. And this is one of those sites where they're grabbing ideas from different people. And you can see here on the right-hand side, they've got 244 suggestions for Access Desktop, and there's also about 100 suggestions for Access Web Apps. So I would certainly encourage you to sign in and register for this, and I think every person's given like 6 votes, something like that, and you can vote for those items that are your favorites. And one of the things you can do is you can actually go in, I'll go into Access Web Apps here, and you can sort this by what are the top ones. So you can see which ones have 94 votes or 74 or 63, and you can vote on those. And Microsoft is watching this. We've seen postings from Microsoft. We've actually seen them complete some of these. So it's one of those things that I would certainly encourage you to jump in and take a look at. Again, it's access.uservoice.com. And I would encourage you to do that. So generally with the Access Web Apps Group. Yeah, go ahead. Say that again?
I was just saying, please go and vote. I put another 3 on today, I think.
You did.
Suggestions.
All right, cool.
There were small ones today.
Can you sort by the suggester? Do you know?
No, you can't. No.
So can you tell who submitted what?
I can't remember. If you open one, does it say?
Yeah. Well, this says you shared this. Is this one you created? Okay.
Yeah, it was. That was one of the first one I created, I think.
Okay.
I probably put about 30 of them on there so far.
Okay, good. So it's good to see that there. I just didn't know if this idea meant it was already there and you shared it with others, or if that was, so that's good to know.
That means you put it on there.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, so again, I would definitely encourage you to do that. So with the Access Web Apps Group, if somebody's brand new to Access Web Apps, one of the things I like to do is go and jump into SharePoint online and create an Access Web App and go and add tables to it and show how that's kind of built. But in this case, since I see there's 4 of us, Charles has been on before, and the other 3 of you have already created Access Web Apps, so we can kind of jump over that part. I don't think we need to go over it again. And we do have here, and I'll jump over here real quick again. If you go to AccessUserGroups.org and you go into the Access Web Apps, you'll see under videos that we've got over a dozen videos of past topics. So we did kind of have a prelude to Power BI, which talked about Power BI, but not really in the Access Web Apps world. but we talk about macros and all different kinds of things. So if there's we are building a little bit of a library of of these videos. So if you're interested in doing that, please do it. Also, I want to point out if you have ideas for a topic, please go to the home page of the Access Web Apps. Welcome, Judy, and submit a topic request. We've got name, email, and message, so we have those. And I'm going to see here if Lucy has posted these yet. No, she hasn't. So one of the things that we did during the last meeting is we really opened up the idea for topics that people wanted to talk about with Access Web Apps, and we got 5 or 6 different ideas, and so you'll see these will be updated with the new topics as Lucy adds those. This is a really informal group, so as I'm going through things and showing things, please feel free to interrupt me. Ask whatever questions that you want. I'm going to basically we're talking about Power BI, which is business intelligence. It used to be a part of Excel, and it's now moved. This part has moved out of Excel. Power BI is a tool that Microsoft came out with. And I'm going to jump over to the website and show you the main website. And so you can go to it by choosing powerbi.com, or you can do powerbi.microsoft.com. Microsoft Power BI is a free tool, so a lot of the stuff that you're working with can be done for free. There's also a paid version for some enhanced features and connecting to some additional data sets that aren't part of the first one. There's 2 parts of Power BI. One is a web-based version, and the other one is a desktop version. The desktop version has a lot more features than the online version, and I really encourage people to start with the desktop, and that's kind of what we're going to be doing today. We're going to start with the desktop. We're going to move it up into the web one so you can kind of get a glimpse of that. And so we're going to kind of take it from there. So I have a small database that I kind of play around with for projects like this. And what it is, I'm going to move this over quickly. And so this is a database that I've created, and I'll go ahead and jump into one of these. It's called Wisdom Projects. Wisdom is Work Smart Database Masters. That's my company, my database company. And this is just a database that I've put together with our clients and our contractors and projects that we have and invoices and all that kind of fun stuff. So this is the database that we would be normally working with. And so in this, I can go ahead and open this up. I'm going to customize this in Access. And that's going to go ahead and download the ACCDW file at the bottom. And so I'm going to go ahead and open this within Access here. And I want to make sure this opens up on the correct screen. Okay. And so here is our database with the different tables and queries and forms and that kind of stuff. What we're going to do is we're going to, when we're working with Power BI, Power BI cannot connect directly to an Access web app in the cloud. And so that I've seen. So maybe in the future they'll have that or something, but right today I haven't been able to do that. And so what we do is we create a database that allows us to report on my data. And Julie's asking why not. I'm not sure why not. I've reached out to 3 different people at Microsoft, and I've searched different forums and that, but it seems like that it only allows you to connect to either an ACC DW file or an MDW file. For some reason, I have not been able to do it. There may be something I'm missing. So it's possible that there's a different ODBC connection that I can use, or there's a different maybe I can connect to SQL Azure somehow and do it that way. But for now, I'll show you a way that we can kind of bypass that. And so in here, we're going to click on Report on My Data, and it just says it's going to create a read-only credentials for connecting to the web database, which is fine. I'm going to go ahead and put this on my desktop, and I'll call it Access Web App Feb 2016. So I'm going to pop this back over. And so in here, you can see the connected tables. What's odd about this is that Power BI still can't see these tables. And so in order for Power BI to get to that data so that it can chart that data, I actually have to create some queries with this data. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and click on Create. I'll do Query Design. And in this case, I will choose do this a little bit differently. I'm going to choose contractor. I'm going to choose contractor invoices and employees. And I believe this is the connection. So bear with me for a second. I just want to see if this is correct. Make sure we get some data here. Okay, good. And so I've got first name, invoice date. I could add the amount, but if we wanted to, we could see what that is. We could see total hours. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to add total hours here. So these are the 3 columns that we'll work with: first name, invoice date, and total hours. And so I'm going to go ahead and save this query out, and we'll call it query contractor hours. And I'm going to go ahead and choose OK. And so it creates that query. And so now I'm going to go ahead and close that. I don't need that anymore. And now I'm going to pull up Power BI Desktop. And so, and again, I should have, I'm going to jump actually back over to the Power BI website again. And so in here, you've got Power BI and you've got Power BI Desktop. You can go into Power BI Desktop and it will ask you to download it. So you'll just click on download. You can download it for free. And they have a 32-bit or 64-bit versions. So you just click on download. It will ask you for your email address, get started, and it will end up, in my case, you can see in the bottom left, it detected that I have 64-bit, so it went ahead and downloaded the MSI for the 64-bit version. And I don't need that, so I'm going to go ahead and cancel that. So it's really easy to download. So now I'm actually going to pull up Power BI so you can see what it looks like. And it opened up on my, I've got 3 screens here, so I've got dueling screens. So in here, this is a Power BI Desktop. And you'll see here you've got the ability to get data. You can choose recent sources. You can enter your own data. You can edit queries and things like that. The nice thing with the get data is there are a lot of different things. Just like if we envision the way Access is, Access or Power BI can also connect to many different data sources. And so in here, we see things like Excel, we see CSV files, we can do things on the web. I'm going to go ahead and click on More. And we can see an Access database, SQL Server, Oracle, SQL Azure, SharePoint lists, Active Directory, all kinds of things. One of the things one of the demos that I watched was a person taking data off of the Wikipedia page, because what they wanted was all of the states in the U.S., and the data that the person was working with, their data was just the 2-digit initials, MI for Michigan, C California, that kind of stuff. And for their Power BI chart, they actually wanted to have the state names listed. And so they actually went into Wikipedia, found the area that had both the state and the state abbreviation, as well as the full name of the state listed. And you're able to take that and pull it in as a data source and save that data source. And you can do a lot of those kind of things. We're not going to get into things that deep this time. We're just going to go into Access database, because I want you guys to be able to do this when we get done today. So again, I'm in Power BI Desktop. All I did is I clicked on Get Data. I'm going to choose Access Database, choose Connect. It's going to ask me where I want to connect. And I created this database, AWA, February 2016. No smoke and mirrors. And so now it opens that up, and it shows us a data source. Now, one of the things I mentioned earlier was that it did not see all of those tables that were there, but it does see a query we created. And so it's just really interesting that we can see these queries. So as of today, that's what you need to do. Now I'm going to take a step back to our data. I'm actually going to go back to the query, because one of the things I see here is it's showing null values. And actually, let's see if we can do it here. Can I choose Edit? And I'm going to exclude null values. So you can see I edited this query, almost a snapshot of this query inside of Power BI. And so now I can close out of this, and it'll ask me to save my changes. And now that data set is only going to show us items that don't have null values. And so now we're going to actually build our Power BI. There's a lot of charts that are already here, a lot of different things here. But above and beyond here, there are dozens and dozens of other what they call visualizations. And so there were ones that have different sizes of fish depending on the amount of sales per region. They had things like bubbles. They had all kinds of things like that. So in this case, what we're going to do is we're going to choose if we just choose this, you can see it's giving us a list. In this case, we're going to just choose a bar chart, and we're going to have first name and total hours. And actually, let's go ahead and do this. Let's choose a pie chart. And so based on the data, it's showing us how much time was spent of all the people. And you can see that took us seconds to create this. And so you've got a lot of flexibility with this as well. So you've got your legend is the person's first name. You've got the total hours. You've got filters and that kind of stuff. We're going to go ahead and we're going to add a filter here, because let's say we only want to see data for a particular year. So I'm going to add in a filter, and in this filter, I'm going to clicked on Advanced, and I can say is on or after 1/1/15, and is before 1/1/16. And now I'm going to apply that filter. That automatically updates our data set, so we can see exactly where we are. So this in Power BI Desktop, this is kind of like a tile. And so you can create multiple tiles that make up your dashboard. So in this case, we've got total hours by first name. And let's say we want to, actually, I'm going to stop for a second. Does anybody have any questions about what they've seen so far? Going once, going twice? Okay. If you do, again, you can either post something in the chat window or just go ahead and interrupt my presentation. I see we have a new person joining us, Bruin. Welcome to the group, Bruin. So this is our first Power BI chart that we have. Next, we're going to grab some other data from our Access database. So I'm going to go ahead and jump back over to Access. And this time I'm going to create a different query. So let's create a query, query design. And this time I'm going to grab invoices and choose OK. Close that. In this case, the only thing I really care about is total amount and invoice date. And that will be the closest for us to see where data is from one month to another. I'm going to go ahead and say total amount greater than 0 and is not null for the invoice date, so we don't have any junky stuff in here. I'm going to go ahead and run this and make sure that we have correct data in here. I could also, if we wanted to, we could go ahead and narrow down the data here. So we could just say greater than equal to 1/1/15, and less than equal to 12/31/15. And so that narrows down our data within the data set itself. We really didn't have to do that. We can do that within the Power BI. We also could have instead of just having all of these, we could have said, hey, grab the month of this invoice date, and that way we're dealing with 12 months, but I'm not too worried about that here. So I'm going to go ahead and save this. We're going to call this query amounts per month, because that's what this is going to end up giving us. And so I saved that. I'm going to close that down. And so now I'm going to go ahead and get data again. I can also click on recent sources, and here's the database that we chose. So that way we don't have to go digging for it again. We're going to grab this amounts per month. We're going to go ahead and load that. And then with this one, we're going to make this one a bar chart. And so I'm going to take this and create a bar chart from it. And in this case, we're working with the total amount, and we want the invoice date, but we want to do it by month. So over here, where we have the access, we don't care about the day, don't care about the quarter. And really, we don't even care about the year because we already know it's 2015. And so now it automatically builds our chart. And you can see January, February, you've got all of those in a chart look and feel. And so now we have total hours by first name. We've got total amount by month. If I wanted to, I could have gone down to these filters and I could have filtered it out per month, for the year, in case I only, if I was showing all my data, but I only want to show 2015 data, I could have done things like that. And there's a lot of other things we can do here. You've got legends, color saturation. Color saturation, the way that works is, let's say you're looking at, I guess a good sample would be the number of delegates per state. And let's say it's for Republicans that you've got there's a different number of delegates per state that you see on the chart of the U.S. And so the color saturation is showing the deeper the color. So the more red something is, the more delegates are in that state. So California, Texas, New York, Illinois, those have bigger red areas, whereas the smaller states, Vermont, New Hampshire, would have less red in there. They would be almost a pink, light pink kind of a thing. That's what the color saturation does. And so you've got your access, you've got your filters, you've got page level filters, you've got report level filters. So you've got a lot of things like that going on. And again, like I said, there are a lot of different options here. And over on the right-hand side, we can choose, many different types of graphs. There's a lot of really neat graphs to look at. And you can also go and you can import additional graphs. So I click on the three dots and choose import. And then I can go and I can download these visual files, PB, IVIZ, viz for visuals. So you can do those kind of things, but it's really kind of cool, all the different options that you have with it. Okay, that sounds great. I appreciate the comment. Okay, good. So now we have this chart and we've got this chart. And the next thing that we would do is we might publish this to the web. So I can click on publish, and I'm going to go ahead and save my changes. And let's call this Feb 2016. And so now it's actually going to publish this itself. And now it's done publishing, and I can click on this here. And what this does is it loads up the website called app.powerbi.com. And so this site is where the data resides for your Access web app. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump back over to Access, and I'm going to open. We're going to try this one. And actually, let's go ahead and do it this way. I'm going to go ahead and open up this from my web browser. And so within this, over on the right-hand side, we've got what's called Apps for Office. And so in here, and let's see, do I have anything here yet? Okay. And so I can, it's going to try and display this. So I'm going to, we'll see if, I don't think this one will work just yet. Yeah, I'm going to, let's see if it allows me to add a second one. That was from an old one. So I'm going to take a step back and go over to projects. And so in here, in the top right, looks like I was playing around with it on that one too. I'm going to get a fresh screen here. In the top right, we have this little settings wheel, and we have customize and access. That's where you download a copy of the database, ACCDW, to open up and edit. And then you also have apps for Office. So when we click on apps for Office, and it thinks I'm editing this record, so I'll cancel that. When I choose apps for Office, it will go. I can visit the store, and I can find the different add-ons. And so when I type in Power BI, I can go down and I can see Bing Maps, which I've added in the past, and I've got Power BI Tiles. This is the add-in that you'll want to use for Power BI. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that and choose Trust It. And now it's going to create that space for where those exist. Now this, Andy, is from a previous dashboard. It's not from a current dashboard. And so I'm going to jump back over to Power BI because this is the dashboard that we want to use, not the other one. We can also pin this live page. And let's go back again. And so I'm going to try this quickly and see if this will work for us. I'm going to put in that, see if it will pull up. It does take a second to refresh. Looks like it's trying to load. This area down here is the Power BI items. So I'm not sure if it's still loading or if there's a problem. I'm going to give it another second. Let's try refreshing it. That's not good. Okay. Well, that doesn't seem to be working. I'm going to try it on another page real quick. Let's go ahead and add apps for Office. Whoops. It also thinks I'm in edit mode. Store. Power BI. Trust it. And so this time, let's try this. Content is not available. Okay. So for some reason, it's not finding my data. So that's kind of strange. So, but I see here Julian has been playing around with his Access Web database, and okay. So yeah, so we have Julian and Judy have both been able to connect directly to the AWA data without having to use the queries. So let's see. Julian, would you be interested in showing?
Yeah, I'll do.
Okay.
How do I take?
Yeah, let me give control to you.
Okay.
This is the nice thing about having multiple people that use Access Web Apps. Here we go.
Okay, so does it share the whole screen or what?
Yeah, you'll have to go over to where it says share, and you can choose which monitor you want to share.
I've only got one.
Okay. So you can share that one.
Nope, don't want to do that. Where does it say share?
On mine, it shows toward the top left.
Yeah, got it. Got it.
Okay, I can see yours now.
Okay, so I knew I'd connected Power BI get rid of that. Power BI desktop to my HR application before, but while you were talking, I had a quick play around with this, and I just thought I'd just go through what I had to turn on to get it to work. So the first thing is you need to enable a read-only connection to the database externally, and then you need to enable. Excuse me. Oh, what's going on here? I think I clicked something, doesn't it? And then you need to enable from any location or from my location, depending on how secure you want it to be, to enable to open the firewall for your IP address, basically. Okay. So once you've done that, you go through really the same process that Andy did to create your source. So I've got a recent database source here where you have to input. If I go back to Access again in a second, I'll just go back to Access. The database credentials, hang on, where is it? View read-only connection information that you can get from here. So that's the name of the server, the name of the database, the username, and the password.
Okay, so you actually have to use all of that connection information to set that up.
Cool, yeah. Yep. I'll do it again if you like.
Yeah, I'd like to see which data source did you choose?
SQL Server.
Okay.
Put the database server in there. Hang on. Database. Oops.
Yeah, what I had done is I had actually chosen SQL Azure since the Access Web App actually uses a SQL Azure backend, and so that's where I went wrong.
Okay. The only thing is that unfortunately that just skipped an important step, which is where I'd gone wrong, because it's obviously remembered the credentials from the last time I connected, and it doesn't seem to want to show it to me, which was that it gives you the option to do a Windows username and password or a database username and password, and you need to click on database and then put the database username and password in there, and then it brings up all your tables and all your queries. So it's quite a big app, this one, and here they are producing a couple of charts. Okay.
Cool. Now, in the listing of the tables that were there, I see a lot of oddities with it, like it's got some hexadecimal data after the name of the tables. Do you know why that appears that way? See, it's got all these huge long numbers after them.
Yeah. unfortunately, it's not terribly user-friendly, is it?
Are those like tables that we don't use?
I think those are system tables, so they probably contain the data macros or whatever. I wouldn't be surprised.
Okay, so just basically skip those when we're looking for the tables to work with.
Skip those, yeah. Yeah, so I've got a query here which shows employees' holiday balances or vacation balances and stuff like that. So I could use any of those to produce charts from. Okay, so it's quite easy. The stuff I don't know is what you've been showing, which is how to get it onto the web and into the web app browser.
Okay.
Which you're having trouble with, unfortunately. But there we go.
Right.
Those things are quite slow, though, aren't they? So it may just be it's timing out or something.
Yeah, it could be. It's interesting because it just says the content is not available, so I don't know if there's something flaky going on or what. Judy, I see that you mentioned that you also were able to connect Power BI to a client's data. Were you able to drop the Power BI tile into the Access web app?
No, like Julian, I haven't played with the tiles, but I just connected it the same way he did.
Okay.
Just through that SQL server.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so that's.
Well, I'm kind of anxious to see the tile work because I hadn't even thought about taking it that far.
Yeah.
I didn't know it was available.
Yeah, well, earlier when I tested it, it seemed to drop in a full website. What's kind of odd here, let me see.
Shall I put you back to?
Yeah, let's do that. Okay, so I'm back here.
Yeah.
And yeah, so this is where I've dropped in the Power BI tile, and this personal workspace is supposed to be showing me the dashboards to choose from. So something flaky seems to be happening. I'm going to pull up Power BI again. Yeah, for some reason it doesn't want to connect this time. That's odd. So we basically got about half of the way there. We showed you in Power BI to create, basically to connect to your data, the Access Web App data. We showed you how to create 2 charts within Power BI. We showed you how to publish that to the web so you have it. We showed you how to create a Power BI tile within your app so that you can show it there. But for some reason, it's not connecting to the data. So I'm going to try one more thing before I give up. It's possible that this is a Google Chrome error that I'm hitting. And so I'm going to, instead of doing it in Google Chrome, I'm going to do it in Internet Explorer 11. So let me drag that over and see if it works any different with Internet Explorer. Interesting. So instead of displaying that in the iframe, it's basically telling you to open up the Power BI, the Power BI.Microsoft.com. So it's not displaying it within the Power BI tile, but it is basically creating a link for you to come into it. Now, the only one possibility of this not working is that I upgraded this system to the latest Office 365, so it's running basically Access 2016, and it's possible that the people that created that Power BI tile did not test it with 2016 yet. Or I don't know. That's the only thing I can think that it could have caused it to not work that way. I do know you can display other data sets here. For instance, let's go back here and see. I'm going to grab. For instance, I'm going to grab what we looked at before was access.uservoice.com. And if we view this, and let's choose top, I do know here that I can grab this link and then go back into, not that, here. Come on. Should be able to drop this in here. And so you can see it. I can grab data from other websites to populate here, although this isn't the best data for because it's listing them singly instead of listing them in a chart. But you do have the capability of dropping in data into a Power BI tile that way. So if there is a public Power BI chart or something like that you want to show here, all you need to do is go back, choose Public Report, and then copy in there what that is, and then it will show it there. So I'll have to do some additional research. I'm thinking that it's probably a compatibility issue between 2013 and 2016. And when I figure that out, I will publish a second kind of a part 2 of this video. So in the meantime, you kind of get hopefully a little bit of a feel for what Power BI is and kind of how it works and the capabilities. I really think from a dashboard standpoint, it can really be a powerful tool because I can envision an executive or a team lead opening up their system in the morning and seeing charts that depict downtime or amount of scrap or any kind of data that they want to analyze, and they can slice it and dice it any way that they want. So, all right. So I'm gonna open it back up to questions. So go ahead and either chat or post something in the chat or pull up your open up your mic and talk. One question was, can you insert the BI into an HTML page? I would have to think that there is a Power BI tile that will work with HTML. I'm not sure. I know it utilizes iframe, but if you go to powerbi.com or powerbi.microsoft.com, there's a lot of help and forums and things like that And there's also, I noticed the last time I logged in the bottom right, it showed that there was a chat with us or ask us a question, and there's actually a real person behind that that you can ask questions to as well. Another comment. They have a Power BI user voice that put in a suggestion of integration with Access Web Apps earlier, and maybe everyone could vote. I think that would be really. I think that would be really good. I think the integration with Power BI is going to be a huge tool, and it also would be nice to see votes on different things within UserVoice, both parts of that. So good. Yeah, so that's definitely a suggestion. So Julian has posted a recommendation on the Access User Voice area.
Andy.
Yeah.
Andy, I've done it on the Access User Voice, I think, but I've also done it on the Power BI User Voice as well.
Oh, cool. So is this it?
Don't know. I'm not sure I made the suggestion actually for this.
Let's take a look. It says Access 2017, which is kind of bizarre.
Yeah. That's in Access Desktop anyway.
Interesting. All right, let's go back.
Mm-hmm. Power BI is definitely mentioned in the web app page, but it may not be searchable for some reason.
Yeah, this should be searching both sides of things.
I know.
Try searching Power BI without the space.
Good point.
All right, let's go back to Access Desktop. No results. Try it with 2 spaces. Huh, not sure. I don't see it here.
No, I don't see it either.
Yeah, so that's odd. I haven't seen this, but I wonder if it's. Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of odd because I think as soon as you made, I don't know if it goes through a where people look at it before they post it into the suggestion. I didn't think they did that, but I guess it's possible. Yeah. All right, good. So like I said, I'm kind of opening this up to questions. So if people have any questions about Power BI or about Access Web Apps, now's your time. Okay, so Charles, any questions? Warren, any questions?
Andy, you'll find a suggestion now if you search again.
What's that?
I said you'll find a suggestion now if you search again.
Oh, really? Okay. There it is.
So everyone on this call can vote tonight.
I'm sure they'll ask you to expand on what you want them to do.
Yeah, I can't vote for it myself because I haven't got any votes left.
Yeah, they should give MVPs an extra 5 votes or something.
I've got -4 votes left. Somehow it let me have more than I was supposed to have.
Oh, really? Yeah. Yeah, speaking of MVP, I got an email today that I was, I'm a 2016 MVP again, which was really odd because my anniversary date was January. I guess they were watching me for 45 days to see if I screwed up or something. All right, good. Well, I don't see any other questions. Warren, I appreciate that. I think this is pretty cool. I definitely encourage people to play with it. Also on our, if you go to AccessUserGroups.org, and you go to the Access Web Apps group, you get back there. There is a video that, if anybody of you know Richard Love, he recorded this Power BI video in November, and it wasn't really talking about Access Web Apps per se, but he really gave a really good tour about Power BI and the flexibility and the power of it. And I know that I spoke with him actually earlier today, and he's really taking it to the next level. So I'm really anxious to see what kind of stuff that he's created. But I really think that this is Power BI is a real game changer, especially with the ability to connect to multiple sources of data and data from Wikipedia and other sources. It just makes it a really powerful tool. There's what's called a Data Insights Conference that's going to be happening mid to late March, and I know Judy and I have both signed up for that. So when we come back to that, I'm sure we'll have a lot more information to share with people as well. So I guess it's 8:10. So I guess we'll, unless anybody has any other questions, we can go ahead and shut down for the day. Any other questions? All right, sounds good. You're very welcome. Sounds great. All right, I appreciate it for joining us. We'll talk to y'all